Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. The WNBA is in extreme panic mode right now because ESPN just exposed another massive headline about Caitlin Clark's unrivaled offer, and let's be real, the WNBA had this one coming. Caitlin Clark is literally the only shining star who's been dragging the WNBA to new heights, but what did she get in return? Oh, just a whole package of racial and physical abuse, topped with a laughable raise of $775,000 while she's bringing in millions for the league. People are having to move their venues when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000 a year. She should be one of the top paid players in the world just for the sheer numbers that she's bringing. But the Unrivaled know the value of a real star. They are not just giving her a safe space where she'll be celebrated, but they are actually paying her for her talent. No more nasty hits or sideways comments about her skin color, and wait until you hear the amount they are putting down for just 3 months of Caitlin's time. Let me tell you the details, because trust me, it's worth every penny. And it has also been reported that Unrivaled 3-on-3 League offered Caitlin Clark significant equity in the league and a salary that is over $1 million. So ESPN blew the lid off the situation with a jaw-dropping announcement. Unrivaled, a major international league, has offered Caitlin a whopping $1 million for just 3 months. That's not some seasonal salary, it's nearly 15 times what the WNBA was paying her for the entire year, and all they're asking her to do is play 3 months. It's like Unrivaled just walked up and said, hey, we actually recognize talent and we're ready to pay for it. Meanwhile, the WNBA is over here still acting like she's some newbie on a trial run. And it's not just the money. Unrivaled is putting out the whole VIP experience. We're talking about top-tier facilities, an elite medical team, and a complete support system. They are rolling out a red carpet the WNBA didn't even know existed, basically saying, hey, we've got your back, while the WNBA was busy letting her get knocked around with zero support. Which brings me to something that I've also been thinking about, and I've told you guys in the past that I do work with the big three. Caitlin wasn't just playing, she was running a one-woman show, turning the WNBA into a gold mine. Ticket was selling at the highest possible price. Merchandise were flying off the shelves, and if you talk about viewership, people weren't tuning in for the WNBA, they were tuning in for Caitlin Clark. Every time she hit the court, it was a packed house. Fans were buying her jerseys as if they'd vanished the next day. Caitlin was a walking, talking, revenue-generating machine, and everyone knew it. It has been so clear for so many people the Caitlin Clark effect that she has had on the WNBA this season. We have talked about it so much on this channel. She has raised overall viewership, but here's the kicker for all that cash she was bringing in. Her actual paycheck was a laughable $70,000 for the year. Yeah,
it has been so clear for so many people the Caitlin Clark effect that she has had on the WNBA this season. We have talked about it so much on this channel. She has raised over—
you read that right, $770,000 for the player who single-handedly dragged the WNBA to new heights. They handed her what barely passes as lunch money in pro sports. The league was raking in cash left and right thanks to her, while Caitlin herself was getting paid less than some mascots out there. This wasn't just about selling tickets. She was the name on everyone's merch, the one people showed up for the main attraction, and the WNBA tossed her a few pennies and called it a day. But when you're making such a buzz about all of these other players who were joining, and you're just not saying anything about Kin, or you're not putting aside whatever millions of dollars need to be had to get her into your league, I feel like it was a missed opportunity. And it wasn't just on the court, she was catching heat for her skin color too. That's right, they had her out there playing in what felt like a battlefield, and instead of supporting their biggest star, the WNBA left her hanging. Meanwhile, Unrivaled is not only promising safety, but laying down the law that they won't put up with any of that nonsense. Caitlin will get the supportive, bias-free environment she's never had in the WNBA without worrying about taking blows or sidestepping prejudice just to play. The WNBA was supposed to be Caitlin Clark's big break, her grand stage to bring her magic to a national audience. Instead, it turned into a battlefield. Literally one season in, and Caitlin went from being the league's hottest new prospect to a full-on target, taking hit after hit. We're not just talking rough play here, this was practically a brawl, and it seemed almost personal from the very first game. Her opponents looked dead set on stopping her any way they could, knowing full well they'd probably get away with it. The list goes on and on, but there have been so many players, coaches, media personalities who have been so afraid to just admit the fact that Caitlin Clark has been the sole reason for so many of these things happening this season in the WNBA. Let's talk about the incident everyone remembers. Angel Reese. Yes, that Angel Reese, in one of the most heated games of the season, Reese went straight for Caitlin's head. We're talking no subtlety, no holding back. She clocked Caitlyn right in the face, and everyone saw it, the crowd, the commentators, the cameras, but the refs, they suddenly went blind. No foul, no whistle, nothing. Caitlyn had to just shake it off and keep going, even though she was clearly dazed. Seattle, and all of a sudden we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44, and then there was a play of nightmare that pushed fans over the edge. Caitlyn took a brutal eye poke, not some light tap, but a hit serious enough to knock her off her game and risk real injury. Once again, the refs just shrugged. No foul, no reaction, like Caitlyn was some invisible player with no need for protection. You seen it, ain't nobody go for a ball like this and then the hand go down like this. You go to block the ball, you would think she would do this, or to poke her. Why like this? How are you going to go for the ball like this and then have your hand come down and hit it right in the eye? Intentional. So what does Caitlyn do after taking all this? She finally hits her breaking point. During one of those intense high-stress moments, she vents her frustration and slams the stand son, and suddenly the refs have perfect vision. They call a foul on her as if they'd been waiting for this moment. Apparently, taking out her frustration on a piece of equipment was a red flag, but her getting literally smashed in the face or jabbed in the eye, that's fine. Play on this wasn't some random occurrence. It became a season-long pattern. Fans couldn't ignore the double standard staring them in the face. Caitlyn was expected to play by one set of rules, while her opponents seemed to have free rein to go after her, but the refs weren't the only ones dropping the ball here. The league itself was dead silent on all of it. Think about it, every time she got knocked down, Caitlyn barely got a nod from the WNBA. It was like she was just another player, as if she hadn't single-handedly brought them record-breaking ticket sales and viewership. She'd get up, shake it off, and carry on, and the league wouldn't even acknowledge it after that playoff EY poke, which visibly affected her vision. Did they issue a statement, show any concern? Nope, it was business as usual. Keep quiet, hope she'll bounce back, and pretend nothing happened. They hate her cause. She's white, she's straight, and more importantly, she's better than everybody else, period, end of story. And that's where Unrivaled comes in. This league's no joke. They've been watching what Caitlyn's been through, and they are making it clear that they don't mess around with players' safety. They've got a whole different approach, actual rules that protect players instead of letting them get beaten up with no consequences. If a player gets hurt, they don't just send in a trainer. If it's serious, they've got real proactive medical support on standby, ready to go the minute anything happens. We're talking on the spot, top-level care, not some half-hearted effort to patch them up and hope for the best. But it will be interesting to see how well this league does, how much these women get paid, if there are any significant injuries. But Unrivaled is thinking about what happens after an injury, which is probably a foreign concept for the WNBA. Caitlyn could barely get an ice pack from them after she took hit after hit, but with Unrivaled, it's not just about quick fixes. They are giving players full-on post-injury support instead of shoving them back onto the court as soon as they can stand. They monitor recovery, offer treatment, and actually make sure they are ready to play safely. It's not about just taping them up and saying go for it. They want players to feel fully prepared, strong, and confident before they even think about getting back in the game. The average WNBA viewership, okay, game 7,300 in attendance. Okay, the average Angel Reese game is 10,100, 10,200. They come to watch her. You know what the average attendance is when Caitlyn Clark plays home or the road? What, 15,300? Okay, not only the physical abuse, there is more of it. Caitlyn was pulling in an average of 15,000 fans